So in the chapter 2, national income, the next topic is national income and social accounting. This is the next topic. So yesterday we saw about the various types of or various methods of calculation of national income. So namely product method, income method and the expenditure method. So with the end of that different methods of calculating national income, the next topic is national income and social accounting. National income is measured or also measured by social accounting method. National income is also measured by social accounting method apart from the three methods which we saw in the earlier classes. So under this social accounting method, transactions of various sectors, namely firms, household, government, capital and the rest of the world. There are 5 important sectors which are recorded their economic activities, these and their interrelationship. The 5 sectors, namely firm, household, government, capital and rest of the world sectors, recorded their activities and their interrelationship under the social accounting method. Then the social accounting framework are used by the economists and policy makers. Social framework used for the economists and the policy makers. Apart from that, the social accounting method is also used for to estimate the forecast for the future trend of economic activities, which is more accurate. So with the help of the social accounting method, we can forecast the near future trend of economic activities is more accurate. So these are the 3 points to bear in mind about the national income and the social accounting. So national income is also measured by social accounting method. Under this method, transactions of various sectors or economic activities are recorded on their interrelationship. And also the social accounting framework is used by the economics and the policy makers. Then the social accounting is also used to forecast the future trend of economy, which is more accurate. Then social accounting and various sectors. Next topic is social accounting and various sectors. Under this topic, the entire economy is divided into various sectors. The entire economy divided into various sectors, namely household sector, firm sector, government sector, capital sector and rest of the world sector. Before that, you should know what do you mean by sector. Sector is nothing but a group of individual or institutions which are having the interrelated economic activities. Group of individuals or the institutions which are having the same economic interrelated activities. So the entire economy divided into various groups, namely household sector, firm sector, government sector, capital sector and rest of the world sector. Now we see one by one in detail. First one, firm as a sector, firm sector. Firm sector, the firm sector higher the factors of production or recruitment of factors of production from the household sector. Recruitment of factors of production or higher the factors of production by the firm sector from the household sector. And after receipt of the factors of production or higher the factors of production, employed its country's resources and undertake the productive activities. Undertake the productive activities with the help of the employment of resources by the various factors of production and producing of goods and services and selling of goods and services to household sectors. So the activities of firm sector is are higher the factors of various factors of production from household sector, namely land, labor, capital and organization. So after the hiring of factors of production by the firm sector, it undertakes the productive activities, that is the form of employing of the various resources and the production of goods and services. Finally the output will be sold to the household sector. Then the second sector is named as household sector. Household sector is the sole supplier of factors of production. Household sector is the only the supplier of factors of production to the firm sector, which in turn he receives remuneration in the form of land, rent for land, wages for laborers, interest for capital and profit to the organization. Then after receiving of such remuneration by the household sector, spending the amount of money or spending money on the purchase of goods and services from the firm sector. Purchasing of goods and services from the firm sector. So it is a circular flow of income between the household and the firm sector. This one we saw in the previous unit, that is circular flow of income model. So supply of factors of production to the firm sector, in turn receives remuneration, and after receipt of the remuneration it will be spent on the purchase of goods and services from the firm sector. So these two sectors are interrelated with each other, or the flow of income between the household and the firm sector, they are circular in nature. Then third one, government sector. The government sector refers to the economic transaction of public welfare. Economic transactions of public welfare. The welfare activities may be engaged by the government at national level, state level and local bodies level. Economic transactions of the public welfare engaged by the government at national level, state level and by the local bodies. And the main function of the government sector is providing services to the public or the society. Providing services to the society or the public, namely defense, education and public health, etc. So providing of essential services to the public by the government sector, namely defense, education, public health, etc. However, the post office and railway not come under the government sector. Post office and the railway are not come under the government sectors, but they are included in the firm sector. So these are the information about the government sector. Then capital sector, fourth sector named as capital sector. Capital sector refers to savings, capital formation and the investment. Savings, capital formation and the investment. So example for the capital sector, the institutions which are engaging in the capital sectors are banks, insurance companies, financial houses and money markets. These are the agencies that are involving in the capital function or under the capital sector. Banks, insurance companies, financial houses and money market, which are all not included in the firm sector. But they are providing financial assistance to firms. But not included in the firm. Capital sector refers to savings, capital formation and the investment, included banking, insurance companies, financial houses and money market, providing financial assistance to industries and firms. However, it is not covered in the firm sector, are not included in the firm. Then, rest of the world sector, that means it is related to the international relationship, international activities, international as well as the economic activities related to imports, exports, foreign loan, overseas investment, and also income and payment for the export-import activities. Rest of the world means excluding of these previously mentioned four sectors, namely home sector, household sector, government sector and capital sector. So remaining sectors are called as rest of the world sector, which included the economic activities of the relationship between the various countries. It is related to export and import of commodities and receiving of foreign loan and investment as foreign investment, overseas investment, and also income and payment made on the export and import. Even though there are 5 sectors, the entire economy divided into 5 sectors, but while assessing the national income or the contribution by the various sectors, as classified only 3 sectors. Namely, primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sectors. While assessing of national income, the sectoral contributions of national income is based on the classification, namely primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So, at the end of the topic, social accounting and various sectors. So, simply we say the entire economy divided into various sectors depends upon the economic activities and their relationship. The sectors are firm sector, household sector, government sector, capital sectors, rest of the world sector. Then, the next topic is national income and welfare. National income and welfare, the relationship between the national income and the welfare. So, national income is an indicator of social well-being. Whether the public or the person the social welfare, enjoying the social welfare or not, that should be indicated with the help of the national income. Or the economic growth of the nation is measured by, the economic growth of the nation is measured by the level of GDP and the per capita income. The economic growth of the country measured by gross domestic product and per capita income. Higher per capita income leads to a great economic welfare with higher standard of living. So, a country which possesses a higher per capita income with enjoying of great economic welfare with the higher standard of living of the people. It indicates higher per capita income indicates the people enjoy the greater economic welfare as well as the higher standard of living. But the increase in gross domestic product and per capita income need not always increase the economic welfare. Even though there is an increasing in GDP and per capita income, it will not increase the economic welfare always. and per capita income suffer from the following limitations. So we may come to conclusion, higher per capita income and increase the higher GDP rate will the indicator of the greater economic welfare of the people. But it is not true because of the following limitations. Number one, the economic welfare depends upon the composition of goods produced or goods and services produced by the country. So there is a greater proportion of capital goods over consumer goods. Greater proportion of capital goods over consumer goods. So the proportion between the capital goods and consumer goods. Capital goods are more than the consumer goods. So in such a case, economic output may increase, but the welfare of the people or economic welfare of the people not increased. So there is a proportion between the goods and services produced among the capital goods and the consumer goods. Even the capital goods are produced over the consumer goods, the economic output may increase, the gross domestic product may increase, but the economic welfare will not increase. Similarly, higher GDP, the country's GDP may higher with environmental hazards, great environmental hazards, namely air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. Increasing of these environmental hazards because of the higher production, which leads to greater gross domestic product. So there will be a environmental hazards, namely air pollution, water pollution and soil pollution. So there is only with the little welfare. However, the growth rate, GDP rate increased by way of utilizing of all the resources, engaging in the production process. Then production of all goods. So in a particular country, producing a more amount of war goods for defending the country or safeguarding the country from our enemy countries. That is increasing the national output, but not increasing the economic welfare of the people. Producing of war goods may be increase the national output, but not increase the national economic welfare. Similarly, an increasing in the per capita income, an increase in the per capita income due to the employment of women, child and other forcing labor forces who are working in the long hours. The GDP may increase. So due to the employment of women, child and forcing working labor forces working in the long hours may increase the per capita income, but will not promote the economic welfare of the people, will not promote the economic welfare of the people. So finally we say, due to these limitations, due to the above mentioned limitations, the GDP and per capita income is not a better indicator of the economic welfare of the society. So we can take PQLI, Physical Quantity of Life Index, is a better indicator of economic welfare. So the conclusion is PQLI is a better indicator of economic welfare of the people. It includes the standard of living of the people, life expectancy of the birth of the people and literacy of the people. So instead of we are taking the GDP and per capita income is a greater economic welfare as an indicator, we have to take PQLI as the better indicator of economic welfare because it includes standard of living, life expectancy of the birth and literacy. So these are the limitations of the national income and the welfare. We are using as GDP and per capita income as an indicator of economic welfare. It is not always we are giving off a good result or a correct result. So we have to take P2LI as a better indicator of economic welfare.